Third-party costs for your extension project. When planning your extension, it's important to budget for third-party costs, which fall beyond design and construction. Here's a breakdown of what you might encounter, split into planning, building regulations, and local authority fees, along with typical guide prices. Planning stage. When preparing to submit your extension plans, it's essential to budget for several planning-related third-party costs. The main expense is the planning application fee, which is paid directly to your local authority, typically around £528 for a standard householder application in England, or half that for a certificate of lawfulness. This fee covers the council's review and processing of your proposed plans. For more complex projects or those requiring specialist input, you may also need to engage a planning consultant. Their fees can range from £400 to over £1,000, depending on the level of advice and involvement required. Additionally, specific projects may require specialist surveys, such as ecology, tree, flood risk, or heritage assessments, to support your application. These surveys usually cost between £300 and £1,200 each, depending on the scope and complexity of the work required. These are only necessary for more complex projects. Factoring in these costs early on helps avoid surprises and ensures your application process runs smoothly. Each project fee proposal will highlight any areas where additional fees may apply, helping you plan your budget. For the building regulation stage, there are several key third-party costs to consider. The primary expense is the building regulations application fee, which is paid directly to building control for checking your plans and carrying out site inspections. For a single-story extension or garage conversion, this fee typically ranges from £300 to £700. For a two-story extension or loft conversions, this fee typically ranges from £500 to £900, and both fees depend on your local council and the size of the project. You'll also need a structural engineer to produce calculations and drawings that demonstrate your extension is safe and compliant. Structural engineer fees usually fall between £150 and £500 for a standard single-story extension or garage conversion if required, and between £300 and £900 for a two-story extension or loft conversion, with exact amounts depending on the complexity of the design. In some cases, additional specialist reports may be required, such as drainage, sound, or thermal calculations, to meet specific building regulation requirements. These reports generally cost between £150 and £500 each. Planning for these costs ensures your project meets safety and compliance standards, helping to avoid delays and unexpected expenses during construction. Each project proposal will highlight any areas where additional fees may apply, helping you plan your budget. Other possible costs may arise depending on the specific circumstances of your project. These can include agreements or approvals, such as a build-over agreement, if your extension is close to a public sewer, a highway, or a drop curb application, if you need to alter access to your property, or the involvement of a party wall surveyor, if your works affect a shared wall with a neighbour. If any of these situations apply to your project, a separate fee will be required for each application or specialist service. We will always advise you in advance if these additional steps are necessary and guide you through the process. Important note: all third-party costs are payable directly to the relevant authority, consultant, or specialist, not to us. We do not benefit from these appointments. Any further admin charge we require will be disclosed in a fully transparent manner. These costs are in addition to your design and builder's fees. Not every project will need every item, but budgeting for these third-party and statutory costs helps avoid surprises. Always check exact fees and requirements for your area. We do know at least 2 consultants per area and can facilitate fee arrangements at an additional £60 to cover our admin time. For this, we would seek costs, review the fees, and provide a detailed breakdown for each item.